For this video, we're going to be going through Normandy plus a handful of other very small suburbs that are just northwest of St. Louis. You'll be seeing a mix of good, average, and bad throughout this video. Despite that, all of these cities that we go through have two things in common. One, being that they're all a part of the Normandy School District, which isn't very good, and two, since 1980, all of these places have seen their population sharply decline. With that said, some of these cities have seen a stronger decline than others. The places that I go through outside of Normandy includes Northwoods, Pasadena Hills, Pasadena Park, Beverly Hills, Velda City, Hillsdale, Pine Lawn, and Wellston. We're going to start the video with some of the highlights of the area before making our way towards some of the more worse-off cities of the area. However, where I start is on the campus of UMSL, or UMSL, or the University of Missouri St. Louis. And even though the university has a St. Louis address, it's definitely not located within the city of St. Louis, as it lies 2.5 miles to the northwest in the tiny city of Belle-Rive Acres. Belle-Rive Acres is home to only 180 people, and the city contains nothing more than the campus of UMSL and a no-outlet subdivision to the west of the school. UMSL began when officials from the Normandy School District purchased the land that the original Belle-Rive Country Club sat on in 1957. Today, the Belle-Rive Country Club is in a more wealthy area of West County. The move initially was criticized as locals at the time didn't want to see their country club go, but time went on and everything was all good and dandy. The country club moved west and the school was created, originally as a 2-year community college with the name of the Normandy Residence Center. 1960 was the first year that classes were held, and the school had a first-year enrollment of 215. During the first few years of being opened, the University of Missouri provided staffing for the school, and Mizzou purchased the school from the Normandy School District in 1963. And since then, the school has been renamed the University of Missouri St. Louis. Additionally, the school has grown to have an enrollment of over 10,000 students. The athletic teams go by the Tritons and compete at the Division II level, and among the most notable alumni includes actress Phyllis Smith, along with a handful of former and current political figures from the state and local levels. Alright, now down to the nitty-gritty, as just like that, we're in the city of Normandy, which is the largest city that we go through in this video. But that's not saying much. Normandy was originally land that was owned by a man named Charles Lucas in the early 1800s. Lucas chose the name of Normandy after his father's home area of Normandy, France. In 1945, Normandy was incorporated as a town and as a city in 1977. At first glance, Normandy seems like it would be a pretty decent place to live, as the location of it is nice as it's right in the middle of Greater St. Louis. Normandy has reasonable access to the region's best amenities, whether it's the airport to go fly somewhere that's not miserable, or whether it's downtown to go see a Cardinals game. Point is, nothing would be too far of a drive generally speaking due to its central location. However, that might be the best thing that one could say about the place. Normandy hit its peak population back in 1970, and as people in the greater St. Louis area look to live further and further away from the city, or should I say, further and further west, Normandy's population is likely to continue to decline. Really quick, as to the left is the village of Pasadena Park, which has gates up blocking off half of the streets to the main road that we're currently on. And after hearing some of these economic stats, seeing those gates might make some more sense. Today, Normandy is home to just over 4,000 people, and the median household income is very low at $33,000 per year. 22% of adults 25 and older hold a bachelor's degree or higher, and the median value of owner-occupied housing units is $81,000, while the poverty rate is 17%. Those numbers are very underwhelming when compared to the rest of St. Louis County. Now to explain the gates, when it comes to the crime rates, Normandy sees a violent crime rate of 1,070 for every 100,000 residents, and a property crime rate of 2,500 for every 100,000 residents. The violent crime here is about 3 times what the average city sees in the United States, so if you decide to move here, maybe you should consider getting a bench press for your garage and drink 5 protein shakes a day. And maybe once a week you should watch an instructional boxing video. However, once you can get past the gates, you'll find that Pasadena Park is a nice little neighborhood to call home if you're looking to live in the area. The worst thing about Pasadena Park would be that it's within the Normandy School District. Pasadena Park's public school rating on niche.com mimics that of Normandy as it has a D-. Otherwise, it steps above Normandy in every category. Pasadena Park is home to just 435 people. However, the median household income is $80,000 per year, and the median home value is $127,000. So it's definitely not among the ranks of Clayton or anything like that, but it's noticeably better than what you see in Normandy. And within the blink of an eye, we're now in a new city again. This time, it's Pasadena Hills. You can think of it as Pasadena Park's more successful brother. Pasadena Hills is home to just over 1,000 people, and the median household income is $84,000 per year. The median home value is $200,000, which is noticeably higher than that of Pasadena Park. However, if you're looking to raise a family, Pasadena Hills is within the Normandy School District, so if choosing a school district is important to you, but you really like this area, then consider sending your kid to a private school if you move here. And now for some history on Pasadena Hills, as it's actually one of the oldest residential communities in St. Louis County. The city was developed in 1928, and the entire city is actually on the National Register of Historic Places, which makes sense as you look at some of these homes. Local historians claim that Pasadena Hills was the last community that was developed in the area before the Great Depression hit, which helps explain the rich variety of architecture that's displayed throughout the city, as once the Depression hit, the demand for upscale single-family homes probably went down quite a bit as less people could afford them. The next city that we go through is Northwoods, which is a lot more like Normandy than it is like Pasadena Hills. And from this point forward, the condition of the cities that we're going to see are just going to get worse and worse. The lots for Northwood were drawn out in 1923, however, development didn't begin until 1938. In 1940, Northwoods was incorporated as a city. And just like the other cities that we go through in this video, Northwoods is very small, as it's only 330 acres large, or 0.7 square miles. Under 4,000 people live here, which is down from a 1980 peak population of 5,800, and the median household income is very low at $37,000 per year. Only 14% of adults 25 and older hold a bachelor's degree or higher. The median value of owner-occupied housing units is $55,000, but despite all of that, the poverty rate comes in at only 13%. Usually, with numbers that low, you would see a poverty rate around 20% or higher. When it comes to the crime rates, Northwoods sees a violent crime rate of about 550 for every 100,000 residents, which is right around average for the greater St. Louis area. The property crime rates are average as well. Niche.com ranks the public schools as a D-, whereas Area Vibes gives Northwoods a livability score of 70 out of 100. Pine Lawn is next on the list, and if you were to come across this place on your own, you might think that you're in St. Louis. Pine Lawn might as well be a part of the north side of St. Louis, as not only does it border it, but economically it's nearly identical. The crime rate here is alarming too. Today, 2,800 people call Pine Lawn home, down from a 1980 peak population of 6,500. And it seems like the entire cluster of small cities that we've been going through in this video have all started to lose population around the same time, Pasadena Hills and Park included. The median household income in Pine Lawn is $23,000 per year, and only 4% of adults 25 and older hold a bachelor's degree or higher. Just about anyone could afford a home in Pine Lawn, as the median value of owner-occupied housing units is $43,000, and the poverty rate is sky high at 26%. With that said, Pine Lawn is one of the more dangerous St. Louis suburbs that you could live in, as the violent crime rate tops 1,500 for every 100,000 residents, or about 4 times the national average rate. And the property crime rates are nearly double the national average rate. Safe to say that you've been terribly misguided if you're looking for a place to live in Pine Lawn, as nobody should be moving here until the city can get their crime rate under control at the least. This is Beverly Hills, home to only 462 people. A lot different than Beverly Hills, California, as the median household income is $47,000 per year, and the median home value is only $54,000. Crime rates for tiny cities such as Beverly Hills, Missouri means very little, but the most recent data shows that the violent crime rate is 354 for every 100,000 residents, so not bad, but the property crime rate is as high as 5,400 for every 100,000 residents, so take that for what it's worth. However, simply put, there are better places to live in the greater St. Louis area, no doubt. And just like that, we're in Velda City, which is a lot more like Pine Lawn. Velda City is a little bit larger than Beverly Hills, as it's home to 1,300 people. The median household income here is $42,000 per year, very similar to Beverly Hills, and the median home value is $47,400, which is less than Beverly Hills, and it's not very good. The crime rates in Velda City are absurd, with the violent crime rate coming in at 2,589 for every 100,000 residents, and the property crime rate is set at 2,068 for every 100,000 residents. That's based off of the most recent data now, and that's a worse violent crime rate than the city of St. Louis, but it's also a very small city, and like I mentioned with Beverly Hills, it's easier for data to be over-exaggerated with these tiny cities. But don't get it twisted, because that doesn't mean that Velda City ain't hood. Hillsdale is to the northeast of Lucas Hunt Road, or to our left. It's basically an extension of Velda City. Only 934 people live here, and the median household income is $33,000 per year. The median home value is $63,500, and the crime rates mimic those of Velda City, with a violent crime rate of 2,300 for every 100,000 residents, and the property crime rate is at 2,500 for every 100,000 residents. To the right is Normandy High School, a school that Niche.com gives a rating of D+, so it could be a lot better. However, that's typical of a school that serves a poverty-stricken population, such as Normandy High School does. Normandy Public Schools, by the way, serve as many as 24 different municipalities, in which we've seen 8 of them. But once again, most of these municipalities have less than 1,000 people living in them. It might as well just be one big city called Normandy, right? Well, anyway, among the most notable alumni includes former NFL running back Lawrence Maroney and respected economist Dean Baker. The last city that we go through in this video is Wellston. Today, Wellston is home to 1,500 residents, which is down from a peak population of as many as 9,396 in 1950. Talk about being darn near a ghost town. That's a loss of 80% of its peak population. Wow, that's just insane. The median household income in Wellston is $33,600 per year. The median home value is only $34,000 per year. And just like with the other cities that we've gone through in the later half of this video, the crime rates in Wellston are absurd. The violent crime rate is as high as 2,700 for every 100,000 residents, and the property crime rate is sky high as well, as it's at 6,000 for every 100,000 residents. Lastly, the poverty rate in Wellston is at 31%. Now, going off of current conditions, Wellston might be the worst off city that we've seen in this video. Wellston is a city that used to be rich in industry. The city was incorporated back in 1909 and was one of the first cities other than St. Louis to be developed in the area. Wellston was home to the Wagner Electric Company, which manufactured small motors for appliances and transformers. Wagner Electric once employed as many as 4,500 workers. Additionally, in 1923, the Abex Corporation built a steel foundry here and employed hundreds of more workers. In 1982, however, Abex closed up shop in Wellston, and Wagner Electric did the same thing the following year. Those massive factory buildings stood vacant in Wellston for 22 years before St. Louis County was able to gather up the funds to properly demolish and clean up the sites. Well, in this video, you saw 8 different cities within the Normandy School District that's just northwest of the St. Louis city limits, and there are 24 of them in the school district. We started with the highlights of the area with the University of Missouri St. Louis, and then we went through some of the nicer, smaller cities in Pasadena Park and Pasadena Hills, but it was all downhill from there, as about half of these cities might as well be considered to be a part of St. Louis with how high the poverty and crime rates are. Combined, these cities were once home to 19,000 people in 1950, 22,000 in 1980. Today, however, they're home to only 13,500, which is a loss of about 39% of its population from 40 years ago. That's quite the change, I would say, and it's probably just going to continue to go downhill from here. Anyway, my next video will be on the Wells Goodfellow neighborhood in St. Louis, so make sure to stay tuned for that. With that said, I do end the video here. And do me a favor, as if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, as doing all of those things helps these videos destroy the evil monster that is the YouTube algorithm. Also, make sure to hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time that I upload a new video. If you enjoyed this video, then you might enjoy checking out some of the featured playlists on this channel. Videos with amazing insights on other places like what you saw here can be found in my St. Louis Suburbs playlist or in my Missouri playlist. Last but not least, if you can't get enough of me on here, you can always go follow me on my other social media accounts, and those links are below. We'll see you next time. Peace.